We got the clicker?
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll go get a clicker from Mr. Hellickson.
So, hello everybody. You guys hanging in there? How you guys doing? Last day of the event, right? So, for those that don't know me, you probably know me now. My name is Mike Bernier, my partner Long Doan. So, as the video just said, I started out as a solo agent, and I was a very successful solo agent. And today, just real quick too, our topic today is going to be running your business like a business, and I'll never forget the first time that I heard that. I'm like, yes, I want to run my business like a business. That is like the coolest advice I ever heard. Then I'm like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? How do you run your business like a business? So today we're going to be drawing some context around that. And why are we talking about it? So we've had this massive progression in our careers. Starting out as a solo agent, going to a top producing solo agent, to a team leader, top producing team leader, to broker, top producing broker, fastest growing brokerage in Minnesota, and probably top 15 in the country right now. So we're very passionate about growing business. We want to help draw some context around that concept for you. How do you grow a business? And Long, I'll let you introduce yourself.
So before we actually get started, let's just get out of the way. First of all, Mike and I actually barely wear ties. But
yes,
the rule when you're on club stage, you got to wear a tie. So thank you for a friend back there, Gabe, with Firepoint. I got this. And Mike drew the short straw, so you got the short tie.
Yeah, I do. I got the short tie.
The other thing, too, is you saw him on video. He's also 3 buttons high on his shirt right now than he normally has. And then, of course, yesterday, you know. But anyways, yes, myself, 27 years in the business, first 15 years in the mortgage, last 12 years in real estate, same thing. You know, I love what we do, and today, before we get started, I want to ask real quick to make sure you guys are all awake. So, who's here are solo agents that's not on any teams? Okay, pretty good. Okay, who's here on teams? Okay, and who here are team leaders? Oh, that's a lot. Okay, who here are the CEO of their company? Ooh, it's pretty good room. That's a trick question. Whoever didn't raise their hand, I don't care if you're a solo agent on the team, a team leader, you guys are the CEO of your company. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
So first rule of business is think like a CEO.
All right. Most of us start out as employees, right? So we work for somebody. Even when you're a kid, you probably work for your parents. That's how you get, you know, allowance. So most of us start there, and some of us then move to being self-employed. Now, you guys all know the cash flow quadrant, right? You've seen this before. So self-employed is when you own a job, because you still technically work for yourself. Matter of fact, from the time you work for somebody else to go to work for yourself, that's probably the worst job you can have for a while because you work for a lunatic, right? Someone who knows you so well that you know how to make excuses and get away with it. Okay, that's like the worst spot to be in. And then eventually some of us actually move to being a business owner. And this is where you actually own the business. Okay, so that's the important part right there.
So one thing I want to add to that too, there's a big difference. A lot of people that are self-employed that think they're running a business, I just want to add this to what Long's saying. There's a big difference between being self-employed, conducting business, and being a business owner that owns a business. Do you guys understand that? Right? If you're solely responsible for generating all the revenue in your business, are you truly running a business? No.
Which leads to the last one, which all of us strive to get through, is being an investor, right? Residual income. Especially if you know real estate business and you're not learning how to buy real estate because 90% of all wealthy people got it through real estate. I mean, you guys are missing the mark, right? You're out there helping your investor make money when you yourself are not figuring out how to do it for yourself.
Where's the clicker? Oh, there we go. So understanding the 4 roles in business. Technician, your admin, your tech staff, your logistics, things of that nature. Here, I'm gonna take that thing. There we go. Be much easier.
We're both high Ds, but Mike is off the chart.
Yeah.
And last night was like, you should have seen it. It's like a cage animal. To try to solve a mystery murder that takes 45 minutes. He's like, give me the highlight. I want a 30-second version so I can solve this.
I lasted 4 minutes, honestly. Okay, so revenue generator. These are your agents, your ISAs, your recruiters, your rainmakers. That's where a lot of us right now are in our business. We are both a technician and a revenue generator. Manager, those that manage the technicians and coaches the revenue generators. And then a CEO. So the CEO is the visionary, the profit protector. They manage the overall operations and resources of the company. So the first time that I really started understanding all these roles, I was in a little tiny restaurant in my hometown. This restaurant had 7 tables. 7 tables. It was a tiny little spot, little bar. And as I was sitting there in this restaurant, getting service from this waitress, who was actually a wonderful waitress, she provided a great customer experience. But the problem they had is they couldn't turn those tables faster than about 1 every hour and a half. So I started thinking about the similarities I saw with real estate. How many real estate agents operate in a linear fashion? I know you guys have all been here and have done this. You get a buyer, 2 buyers, 3 buyers, and you focus on those 2 or 3 buyers until they do what? Until they close. And then what happens? Now we got to start all over again, right? So the waitress was so hyper-focused on providing a good customer experience. That's where she lived. You know what? At the end of the night, I wanted to give her a big fat tip. I was happy. But guess what happened to that restaurant eventually? It closed down. As a revenue generator, as a rainmaker, she did a great job. She focused where she should focus. But as a CEO, that company did not survive, because what they should be thinking about as a CEO is how to blow out walls, how to get 15, 20, 30 more tables in there, how to turn those tables fast, how to turn them in a half an hour, not an hour and a half. So for you in your business right now, being transparent, how many people feel like they're operating on all 4 of these levels? A few. Good, right? Especially tier 2. You'll kind of notice tier 2, that's sort of where you are getting the biggest crunch of this, right? That you're transitioning. That's the hardest.
To touch on that too, is what we do for a living is one of the craziest jobs, right? We are out there interviewing for a job, do our best to get the job, and we try our best to work ourselves out of a job. Isn't that true? Like, you hope it's 45 days, but probably 60, 90 days. Now you're out of a job again, and then you go interview again. But here's the thing, because of that, you gotta be constantly interviewing. Okay, for you to keep going, this is how you're gonna be successful, is that what Mike is saying is when we ask agent how you doing, we get one of these. Why? Because that's what he says. 60, 90-day sales cycle. So you get the deal, you so worried because unless it closes, you don't make any money. So you do all the paperwork, you watch it, you make sure it closes. When it closes, like, yes, I made money, and then you start all over again, which is 90 days. So every month you make, every month you might have made $15,000, $20,000 in income, but it should have been then $250,000 a year, but because you only do it every 3 months, you make $68,000, $70,000 a year, which is still very good money, but it's not great. Now, as CEO of your company, there are 3 stages of growth you need to be focusing on. Okay, the first stage is infancy. That's what most of us started out as, right? In the infancy stage, this is where you're trying to do everything that you can to get your business up and running. Okay, and 70% of the people will stay in this stage, will never get to the next stage. Now, speaking of that, 85% of all real estate agents fail within the first few years anyway. So some of them never even make pass out of here, okay? Which lead to the expansion of growth mode. So the expansion of growth mode is when you're starting to grow your business. This is what Mike is talking about. This is when you try to hire your first showing agent, maybe a transaction coordinator, maybe a marketing. This is the toughest stage right here. Because if you do really well, most of the time you're a control freak, right? No one can do as good job as me processing my paperwork, right? That was the hardest thing for me.
Let me ask you guys something. When you start focusing on production and focusing on hiring and training, is that going to cause some fear and anxiety? Yes. Right.
Yeah, I get a lot of those. So I had one person help me, our very first agent that helped me when we first started growing. She's still with us now, which is pretty awesome. She's getting her 10th year anniversary award at a holiday party later this year, right? So I would start scaling. So I started bringing the next person, and when I was trying to train her, I had the challenge I was going through, but I didn't share that with her. So when we started bringing other people, she would complain all the time. She said, man, they suck, okay? They don't do as good a job as me, and it's taken me half an hour to train them to do something I can do in 3 minutes, right? You guys all go through that? Yeah. Like, oh my God, and then it's not 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So now it takes you 3 hours to train someone to do a 3-minute job. But if you think about it, after you invest the time in, you'll never do that 3-minute job ever again. So that's the hardest thing you get to get through to get when you're in expansion to growth. So your only job in this stage is to figure out how to grow yourself and your business. And only 10% of all CEOs actually get to the maturity stage. Okay, this is where you're not worried about how the business is going to come to you. You're actually going to figure out what to do with the business you have come to you. And at this point is when you're at maturity stage.
And let me add something to that too. There's a difference between an active CEO and a strategic CEO. Do you guys know there's differences in the way CEOs operate, different stages in their career? An active CEO, you're running basically all 4 of those different roles. You're the technician, you're the rainmaker, you're the manager, you're the CEO, you're doing all of it. So as you progress through these stages, through infancy, expansion, growth, maturity, you keep replacing yourself out of those technician roles. Does that make sense to everybody? Does that sound super easy to do, by the way? No. How many people have struggled with this? Right.
Can I touch on that, Mike, before you go on? On the maturity stage, you know when you're there is when your business is running not because of you, but without you. That's when you know you're at the maturity stage.
So again, the more revenue you yourself create, the less of a business that you own. Working on your business versus working in your business. How many times do we talk about this at Club Wealth? Is this not something we hear about all the time? So working on your business achieves results for your clients and is a short-term way to produce revenue. This is your linear fashion. I've got a buyer, I've got a seller. I'm going to hyper-focus here because at the end of the day, I want to close this and get a commission check. And by the way, working in your business is important. You have to work in your business. You have to service your customers, right? Working on your business. This achieves results in business development and is the long-term way to sustainable and growing revenue and profitability. Does that not sound cool? Right? Long-term sustainability of sustainable and growing revenue profitability. That just sounds way cooler. Now, with that, how many people have heard about the perfect daily schedule in Club Wealth? Once or twice, right? Well, what's rule like number 1 on the perfect daily schedule? You divide your day and you spend part of your day doing what? Working on your business, right? How many people are working on their business? So by the way, let me give you some context around that again too. If you're hyper-focused on working in your business and servicing those buyers and sellers you have, think about it this way. What processes led to you getting that buyer and seller in the first place? So in our restaurant scenario, right, thinking like a CEO, I'm going to get whatever process brought those people into the restaurant, I'm going to duplicate those processes. I'm going to get them in faster. I'm going to turn the tables faster. I'm going to get more people in. So what led to you getting that buyer and seller in the first place? Can you service them faster? Can you get more of them? Can you build your pipeline in half the time? That's where you should be living as a CEO.
As a CEO, there are 3 areas of focus you guys need to be focusing on. Okay? Number 1 is innovation. How do you separate yourself? How can you be different than your competition? Why should they use you instead of the other agent or their cousin? Okay? Hey, by the way, this is where I like to touch on one of these that I touch on when I speak all the time about our real estate industry. We have one of the lowest barrier of entry in most professions. Because of that, everyone seems to know an agent, right? A friend, a cousin, or sister. And that's why we need to make sure why you guys are here to raise the level of professionalism and be more innovative. Because I share this example all the time. So I get my hair cut about every 3 weeks. My hair doesn't grow as fast anymore, so it looks kind of weird. Every 3 weeks, I got to trim it. So in Minnesota, the average haircut's about $28. And when I was putting together the speech for the last time I was in San Francisco for NAR. So I looked up in San Francisco, it's $48. I don't know why it's so much more expensive to get a haircut in San Francisco. Okay, fine. I go to Great Clip because I'm cheap, and I got one of those cards, so it's $9.99. Okay. and I asked my barber, the one who cut the hair for me, and I fact-checked him later. He has to go to school for 1,500 hours to cut my hair. Right? Pretty crazy. Of course, my wife, who had her hair cut, and we set up these things, right, for fraud prevention. Anything over $50 charge, I get a notification, or we both do. And every time she go get a haircut, I'm getting a notification. So I looked up, and in Minnesota, it's like $38, but in San Francisco, it's like $70-some. But apparently, cosmetologists had to go to school for 1,550 hours, so 50 hours more because they got to learn how to upsell. Because my wife's always coming back with blown hair, styling, coloring. Like, what is going on? And then, of course, me as the guy, you see anything different? Yeah, it looks good. It's a whole different color. Really? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I should know that because the notification came through, right? So, so then every now and then, as you guys know, I'm raised from Vietnam. I left when I was 13. I came here. So every now and then she'll say, honey, can you come with me to get a manicure and pedicure? I said, why? Well, I want to know what those Vietnamese ladies are saying. So then I go, I sit down, she said, pretend you're not Vietnamese. I'm like, all right, okay. Sitting around, just listening, first couple of times, eventually figured out. But I also, later on, I did speak them Vietnamese, okay? I mean, how many hour class you have to go through to do this? 350 hours. So for Minnesota, we're only 90. Some states even less. And we get to make more money than, some doctors and attorneys, right? So innovation. An example yesterday, we did some mastermind, and I went over and participated in a T4 mastermind. So there was a bunch of people there, T4 and broker owners. You guys are all thriving to be there. And a gentleman I spoke to shared with me, he's from a smaller town, he said, between Chattanooga and Knoxville. He said, God, I love coming to Club Well because every time I come back home, I stir up my market, and everyone hates me because I got something new I'm doing. And that's what being innovative is coming to this kind of stuff, okay? The second area is quantification. If you're not tracking everything, you're in trouble. You cannot grow your business. Because if you don't track it, you don't know where to improve. So right now, if I ask you guys, an example of this is this. The reason you want to track and measure and understand all the metrics so that you can know where to improve on. And also you can set up planning. So a lot of our agents will come to Mike and I and will say, hey, they sit down with us, we help coach them in business planning. They say, hey, Long, I want to make $100,000 this year. And this story came from a brand new agent. And she's like, yeah, I know, I'm probably asking too much. I'm like, no, that's all just mindset. You want to make $100,000, let's sit down and figure this out. So in that market, the average commission split's about $6,500, but I just went easy math. I said, okay, let's pretend you get $5,000 for every transaction, okay? Do the math, because in quantification, you have lagging indicator and leading indicator. If you don't track, then you don't know because of this is gonna happen, and vice versa. If you want to get this, you need to do this. So I would just tell, okay, that means you need to close 20 transactions. Make sense so far? Yes. All right. So to close 20 transactions, I use a 75, 50, 25% rule. And this has worked pretty much most of the time over my career. 75% of the client you work with will close, right? Because 25% will fall through. Financing didn't work. Boyfriend moved out. Dad doesn't like how the door is set up.
The cousin got a license. Right. That happens all the time.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And many of our agent customers get the license, right? So 75% will, which means you do the math, that's about 33 contracts you need to have. 75%. 50% of the appointment you meet will turn into contract. Of course, some of you guys are way better than that, right? Let's use 50%. You need 66. And then 25% of the people you engage with, that you got them on the phone talking, wherever you get your lead from, will come and meet you. That means 216 whatever. If you know those metrics, you now will sit down and we would ask them, how many vacations you want to take a week? Everyone always say 2, 3 weeks. We say, we'll give you 6 weeks. You're only working 46 weeks, okay? Then how many days a week you like to work? Oh, 7 days a week. All right, let's call it 5 days. So we start dividing out the math, we start doing it, it ended up being like 2 engagements a day. That means if you engage with 2 people a day, all this stuff will happen. So that's why you need to track everything.
But now, think about this, right? If we told that same agent, you have to make $500 just to get those 2 engagements, are they going to think about it that way? No, they're not going to like that. But the 2 engagements a day, is that a commitment you can keep? 2 a day, that's all you need to do, right? So keeping on quantification and tracking and knowing your leading indicators. Do you guys know how many working days are going to be in 2020? I believe it's 261 working days. 261 working days in 2020. Do you know how many people or how many hours the average person is going to work full time in 2020? About 2,080, right? So knowing these numbers and knowing how to utilize your time is so important for your tracking.
Which is lead to orchestration. That's the last one. Once you know you're innovative, you track everything, you now put system and process in place. Because system run business, people run system. For most of you in this room, you are running the business. The people running the business, you. So when you put system process in place, you can start removing yourself from the Mike example of being the waiter, being the cook, being the busboy, right? being the greeter, the accounting person. So you need to do this to start putting things together, so systems and process. For example, if you did what Mike just shared, these are how many hours, this is how much I make, you start understanding that I average $200 an hour, let's call it, okay? You now start going back, and I encourage all you guys to do this, is that you should look at your daily schedule, which hopefully you guys all follow your coach or your clients, right? You have a daily schedule, so you should be pretty organized. Otherwise, journal for 30 days of what you do every day. And you put into 2 columns, the income producing activity column and the production supporting activity column. You will find the 80-20 rule. You spend only 20% of your time on income producing activity and 80% of your time on production supporting activity. So when agents come to us, we average 104% increase. I mean, we double the business when they come to us. Why? All we simply do is help them move pieces around. Okay, do more of this and do less of this. Outsource it out, let someone do it.
And let me ask you this. Speaking of quantification, right? If you knew how much time you were spending incorrectly, are you going to be able to make that adjustment? But if you don't know it, are you ever going to make that adjustment? Do you guys love tracking? Is that like what you love doing, spending your time? Nobody does, right? But you guys have to work. We talk about working on your business. This is a working on your business activity. Going through your operations, remember as a CEO, you're responsible for the primary operations and overseeing all those operations in your organization. So that means that you have to oversee the innovation. And with innovation, by the way, you know, innovation doesn't always have to mean just doing something new or thinking of something new that nobody's ever done before. It's innovating in your business. We got a great term in real estate that we call R&D. Anybody know what that is? Yeah, rip off and duplicate, right? Just because I didn't think of it doesn't mean I can't innovate it in my business.
Can I touch on that real quick?
Yeah.
Right, so in high school, it's cheating, now sharing, okay? It's all different as you go through. You know, but back to the orchestration. So we're in the people business, right? That's what we do. And for us, it's about relationship business, face-to-face, belly-to-belly. That's your income-producing activity. That's what you need to do more of. So the example for me was my first, when I first got into real estate, I went from the mortgage side to the real estate side. And I remember all my real estate friends said, man, you're crazy. Why are you getting into real estate now? It's like 07. And I'm like a fireman running to the burning building and everyone's running out. But for me, it's about quantification, tracking. I understand trends, leading indicator and lagging indicator. And I was telling all my friends, hey guys, this foreclosure thing might be around for a while. Like, what? Come on, little hiccup, not that big a deal. No. The reason I know that is because the mortgages was being done on this side. We were doing a deal that's called liar loan, which is stated income. You tell me whatever you make, I'll give it to you, right? And we're doing 100% on investment property. Okay, no money down. I remember talking to some of these people like, sure, do you want to take this loan out? Because the real estate agent brought it to us. It was their cousin, right? That didn't give them the right advice. You show me you have no reserve. So if one of your tenants that rent from you don't pay a payment, who's making your mortgage payment? They don't think of that kind of stuff. So anyways, I would then research out and I will go to Dallas every 3 weeks or so. Some of my people in the room here went back, way back with me on the REO day. Right? I went to Dallas because I found out that Freddie, Fannie, HUD, and a bunch of big banks were there. So I went there to seek out asset managers. I wanted to meet with them, get to know them, and build a relationship. So then I would then ask them, what would you like to do if I was to help you with this stuff? They tell me this is it. So, okay, I'm thinking system. How would I build it for them when I did? So I did that for about a year, and this is before I met Mike. And I remember I worked $104 round trip, 2 hours. I fly down there about 10 o'clock, 2 coffee, lunch, coffee, dinner, cup of coffee, because I know that's my income producing activity. I would come back, I do that, and for about a year. So then I started the company in 2009, and now I call all my friends who have introduced me to other friends, right? I know a bunch of asset managers now. I say, guys, I'm ready to go. I went from 0 to 400 property in 6 months, and I closed 1,000 transactions in my first 4 years, okay? Now, the reason I brought this up is this. I put system process in place, and I put people in who are better than me. So our very first agent was pretty much my right-hand person and helped me with this until I met Mike, okay? So I remember she had a baby already, and then she came in and worked for me, and then she wanted to have another baby, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Women can, guys can't, so that's all right, okay? So then we planned on it. She said, okay, I'm gonna be off. We had her replacement already, training on the wing, and the replacement person said, you know what? I'm gonna go on a cruise with my husband for a week because I know it's gonna be really crazy busy when Amanda's gonna be off for a while. Fine, let's coordinate all that. Well, unfortunately, she went to labor, not unfortunately, she just unlucky for me, she went to labor 10 days early. Okay? The other person on a cruise. Well, nowadays, it's all different. Back then, you can't get home. Everybody with phones and internet didn't work that way. I remember calling the MOS, and I said, hey, this is long. Can you tell me how to log on the MOS? Seriously, I didn't know how to log an MOS. That's not the income-producing activity for me. Okay? They said, Long, you know you closed like 501 transactions already. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
All right, we're gonna be those guys that get through half a presentation and run out of time, so we're gonna speed this up a little bit. So key steps in business development. Your primary aim in life, your business is an extension of you and should serve your life goals. This is all about alignment. So if you don't know we always talk about, and we go back to your why, to your purpose, your impact you're trying to create. So if you don't understand that, you wanna start there.
That's all you.
No, remember we're trading off.
That's like 3 slides later.
Oh, okay. Your strategic objective. We're super dialed in on this, you can tell.
Hey, by the way, I don't know you know how hard it is to do presentation with 2 people. 1, you can mess up, no one knows, you can keep going. With 2, so yesterday, I feel for Ron and Brian.
Yeah, especially since I want to talk all the time, so it's really hard for me to just.
Oh yeah,
back
remember
here.
what's her name? Francis yesterday. We're talking about who's the wife and husband, the husband wife. I'm the husband.
And you win. Your strategic objective. Can you guys answer this question? What do you really want to get from your business? If it's just to make money, you can do that doing anything. Why this business? What do you want to get from this business? Your organizational strategy. So in order to really run a business, you need to turnkey your business with clear workflows, SOPs, policies, and systems. Does that sound like you're going to focus on production when you're building that? That's hard. Your development of management systems. You manage your business by managing your systems. Replace yourself out of the business. People strategy. Guys, this is the most important piece of it. I don't care what your model is. I don't care what your offering is, your USP, your advertising, your marketing, none of it. 70% plus of your business success is going to revolve around the quality of your people and the quality of your leadership. Does everybody understand that? That's when you guys should all say, yes, I understand that. That's a big one. If you don't have the right people in your organization, it's going to fail. So you're going to spend time as a CEO locating, finding, attracting, and developing people. Your marketing strategy, creating your custom audience. Do you know who your ideal client is? Do you know who your ideal customer is? Do you know how to create that custom audience? And do you know how to reach them? And last but not least, your system strategy. Once enough systems are created and function independently, you can essentially replace yourself from the business. So Long wasn't quite there yet when he had to call the MLS and say, how do I log in? So he couldn't quite function independently at that point. Not at that point, right? But eventually you want your business to run itself without you. Does that mean, oh great, I get to go sit on the beach and not work anymore? No. The idea is as you reach that maturity phase of being a CEO, you want to spend your time being strategic and doing high-level activities, not be the technician in the weeds. Definitely not trying to log into the MLS. No.
It's you too.
Oh yeah, that's me. 5 problems to solve. So we talk about this all the time. You know, what is the advantage of that real estate license in your pocket? What Long brought up is very true. This industry has created more self-made millionaires and self-made failures than any other industry probably ever in existence. But the income possibilities and the career possibilities are endless. So what we looked at is 5 particular problems in real estate that when you solve these problems, you're pretty much done. You can retire wealthy and say you won real estate. So the first problem we need to solve in real estate, who's been here and had this problem, is consistent income. Like the minute you get licensed, you don't have a book of business. You've got to go out and create one. Does that come with a manual? Do you just get this manual and say, follow these steps and you're going to create a book of business in 90 days? It really doesn't. Everybody's a little bit different how they do this.
Unless you have one of these books.
There you go, yeah. Trello. Just follow the Trello cards. So once you create consistent income, generally speaking, you create a brand new problem for yourself. Efficiency. I can't tell you how many times agents have walked into my office and they're doing maybe 15 to 18 transactions a year, their hair's on fire, and they're like, I need an assistant. I'm like, you're doing 18 transactions a year. You're not that busy. You think you're busy, but you're really not that busy. You're spending all your time in the wrong areas. So efficiency's got to become an area of focus very early on in your career. Once you've created that consistent income, now it's time to become efficient. Long mentioned the 80-20 rule. You start figuring out how much time you're spending in the wrong areas and correct that, work efficiently. And outsourcing. This is one that gets very hard for people. So when you talk about outsourcing, automatically what are you guys thinking about when I say that word? ISAs, TCs, right? Think of the restaurant again. That waitress could have greatly benefited from, somebody helping her bus tables, or a waitress assistant, or, maybe a valet parking cars, or maybe another bartender. So outsourcing is business related, but you know where it's going to start? Primarily, if you don't outsource in your personal life, you likely are not going to outsource in your business life. How many of you guys are still mowing your own grass, shoveling snow in the areas like where we come from, cleaning your own houses? Legitimately, your personal life and your business life are going to mimic each other. So learn to outsource everything you can. Become efficient. Spend your time in those dollar-producing activities, because you know what you're going to make? More dollars. So you can outsource more. Once you learn to do this, you might go from 18 transactions feeling like you need an assistant to doing 50 and feeling like you have more time. But then you're going to create another problem, and that's scaling. Because if you want to get beyond, at some point you are not going to be able to scale beyond yourself. And you're still responsible for all the revenue generation. That is going to be the problem you need to solve if you want to run a business. The problem with scaling is this. Now it's time to stop focusing primarily on production and is focusing on hiring, systems, training, developing people. It's focusing on all the things that are not production. And by the way, are you going to make a lot of money doing that right away? How many people have thought, what am I doing? Why? I know, Misty, we've had this conversation. Like, why am I doing this, right? So if you were going to invest money, call it in the stock market or a real estate investment, do you expect to make big returns in a month? No, it's the long game, right? That's what an investment is. And by the way, when you start a business and run a business, you were investing in that business. You were putting your time and energy into the investment of that business. And that's going to take time to return. Once you have created a scalable business, you will have then that new problem of profitability. So after your business is taking off and it's generating enough revenue and you start becoming profitable, you're going to create a brand new problem. We are running out of time. And that's taking some of that business income, peeling that off, and creating residual income, passive income. Replacing the business income so that you are no longer dependent on that business income at all, because if that business goes away, fails, or sells, you don't want your cash cow gone. So at some point, you're going to start investing into more passive and residual sources.
We got plenty of time.
All right.
We're long and Mike. We'll get extra time. Yesterday, Brian and Ron were up here, talked a lot about this already, so we'll probably go through this pretty fast, is the fixed growth versus the growth mindset, right? Because the belief system you have, whatever we believe, that's our action, our words, our thoughts come from our belief systems. So you gotta figure out how to change that. And the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset is fixed is result-oriented, whereas growth is the process. So anytime you guys are fixed mindset, you go, I want to do 18 transactions this year, but you only got to 16, and you think you fail, that's a fixed mindset. Whereas the growth mindset is, how do I fix this to get to 18 next year? So here's an example I had. My first 15 years, I shared with you guys, I was on the mortgage side. And I'm dating myself now, this is a little while ago. And I show up to a mortgage company that hired me, says, I went there because we all have this, right? I have leads. You show up. Okay, I'm excited. First day, okay, I'm here, Mr. Manager. I'm ready to go. And back then, it was this phone, no cell phone. I did have, 6 months later, one of my first military-looking cell phone. I thought was pretty cool. You guys had that back in the day. Some of you guys may not even know what that is. I'm carrying the battery pack with me, right? But anyways, back then, we had to pound the phone for 2 hours to call. So they said, okay, pound your phone, meaning that you're not going to take a phone call, no distraction. You block off your time. So I started, I'm like, okay, my phone's all locked off, I'm ready to go. And they said, okay, where are my leads? He smiled, and he like, here it is. The white page. Who remember white pages? He said, start with A's. Oh, all right, my leads, great. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll start with the A's. Dialing. Back then, people are working. It's not cell phone. No one's home to answer the phone. Probably call for like half an hour, probably 100 calls. Just boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, somebody picks up the phone. Hi, this is John. I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I hung up. So my fixed mindset would have been, God, that sucked. My growth is, what do I need to do next time someone picks up? So I start thinking in my head, role playing. Okay, if they pick up, I'm gonna be really smart about it. So I call again, about 100 call. Some old lady picks up. Hi. You can tell it rang a long time, so it must have took a long time to get there. Okay, there was no, cordless phone yet. So I'm, saying her first name, whatever. Hi, this is Long, hello, and would you like a mortgage? Because I'm smarter than last time. I said something. She said no. I said, okay, thank you. Well, I'm like, dang it, that was my opportunity. So I'm thinking again, okay, what do I do next time? So that's an example of growth mindset, okay? That's growth and fix.
So let me add something there. Now, with a growth mindset, just so you can read what's here, just so this sinks in, the belief that your talents, IQ, knowledge, status, abilities are all fixed. If you fail at something once, you can't do it. If you're a certain level of intelligence, you'll never get smarter. If you have a certain level of talent, you'll never get better. How many agents live in that mindset? Most of them, right? So I have a story just like Long's. I don't think I've even told you this one before.
Which is crazy because we talk 47 times a day on that.
We do. My first weekend getting a license, I was told I need to go door knock. Isn't that fun? Do you love door knocking? This group does. So I didn't whatsoever. My first door I knocked on, I'll never forget this. I'm listening to somebody rustle around the house. I'm knocking on the door. I hear noise. I think somebody's coming, but nobody actually shows up, so I knock again. I'm there like 5 minutes. I'm starting to get anxiety. Finally, somebody opens the door, and there's this 94-year-old woman in a walker like this, and it took her so much effort to get to that door. And the reason I was knocking on her door to see if I could do a CMA on her property. And I froze. I literally said, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong house, and I left. It took me 10 years. This was a fixed mindset. Instead of doing what Long did and trying again, it took me 10 years to knock my second door. 10 years. And when I did it because I started inviting people to open houses, neighbors. And by the way, I did, I think, 16 transactions in a year from just door knocking around opens that year. So the idea between fixed and growth mindset, if there's one mindset piece to ever really focus on and study, it's that.
Which leads to scarcity abundance, which is the same, okay? So one thing that Mike and I do a lot in our market is we go meet with other agents and brokers. And people say, why would you do that? They're your competitors. Well, no, there's plenty of business to go around. So if you go to learn and share, that's what we do mostly, because we bring all this cool stuff from Club Wealth. We come back, we meet people, say, hey, this is what we're learning. We want to share with you. They're like, well, why do you do that? Why are you telling us all a secret? Well, for us, we believe that this is how everyone will grow. Because if you learn what I learned and you be better, our professionalism will rise, right? So that's a big thing. So this is why I love the quote from Les Brown. Help others achieve their dreams, and you will achieve yours. Okay, so that's scarcity versus abundance. The other last thing that I want to touch on this slide is Mike and I get geeked out a lot about how to come up with acronym to explain things because we're really bad at remembering stuff. So one thing that we came up with.
Which slide you go and which slide I go, that kind of stuff, yeah.
And so this one we came up with life. To us, life, L stands for learn. So you're going to learn here, and you go back. And by the way, you have to implement. I met many of you guys at these events. I come back next year, you have this whole book of notes, and you haven't done one thing that you learned from there. Okay, so you got to implement. And I guarantee you, most of the time, you will fail. Okay, just like I did and Mike did. But from there, with this growth mindset, you will evolve and learn, and you start all over again. So to us, that's what life means.
It's a circle.
Learn, implement.
You just continue it. Now, who knows the story of WD-40, how they got their name? Who doesn't know that story? So the reason it's named WD-40 is because they failed 39 attempts to make that solution. Think about that. Know thyself. One of the places you start in really running a business is understanding yourself. What business are you in? By the way, we do this with our staff, with a lot of our agents, our teams, is we ask these questions, and we look to see if everybody's on the same page. Because if everybody in your organization is not on the same page and can't answer these correctly or in the same alignment, this is where you might want to start working. What business are you in? Some people are going to say sales. Some people are going to say service, some marketing. None of those things are wrong. But what business you believe you're in is going to dictate the way that you conduct your business. What is your vision and mission? So if your admin, if your ISAs, if your TCs, if they don't know what business you're in or what your mission is, do you think there could be a misalignment or a difference in the way they produce for you? What impact are you looking to create? I ask agents all the time, why real estate? And I get a lot of, I want to help people. Awesome. Why not be a fireman? Why not be a doctor? Right? Why this business, and what impact are you looking to create in this business? What's your competitive advantage? What makes you different? What's your core competencies? What is it about you that you believe the market needs? And again, who's your ideal client? Michael Alexson, I think the other day, said you can't be all things to all people. He's right. And real estate agents tend to forget this. We try to be everything for everybody. Most importantly, when you identify who your ideal client is, do you know what they value? Or do you assume what they value? Because there's a difference. Have you ever asked them?
What we want to help you guys think about is that start with the end in mind and reverse engineer back. Okay, why do you guys do the thing you do, right? So if you know the end, I want to retire by the time I'm 50. I want to, be debt-free. I want whatever you want. You got to know that. You got to reverse engineer back, because for some of you who are broker owner, team leader, when you know that, you might realize, God, I don't want to be those at all. That's actually worse for me. It doesn't achieve my end goal. So make sure you remove yourself, what we call the forest, right? When you're in the forest, all you see is trees. So you remove yourself, you can see what path you need to take to get to where you want to go.
I've talked to a lot of team leaders today. I said, how many agents do you want to have? I don't know. How many transactions would you like to do? I don't know. Right? So you have to start with a 30,000-foot view, have your vision in mind so you know how to get there. And you do that with benchmarks and milestones. I mentioned earlier that if you told an agent you have to make 500 phone calls to reach your goals, and they go, that's overwhelming. You have to set benchmarks. You have to celebrate your wins, set benchmarks that are obtainable.
And then set goals versus commitment. Okay, goals is I'm going to do this. Commitment is I'm actually going to figure out a way to do it, which is SMART goal. You guys all know what SMART goal is because you're all smart people and you're all here at Club Wealth.
By the way, your goals are going to be obtained by your small commitments. If we told you right now, go sell 100 homes next year, that's great, but what small commitments you need to keep every day? The example that we gave was your two conversations per day. That's a small commitment. This is the big one, guys. I know so many of you in this room that are guilty of this. Analysis paralysis. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. That is key in business. You need to get out there, start working on business, tweak it as it goes. I've watched so many people do nothing because it's not perfect.
Track and improve. We talked about already. So
yeah, and find your weaknesses. When you track, you can improve, you can find your weaknesses. And when you, there we go.
Yep. Go back. I want to take a picture.
Sorry.
Hey, by the way, I want to let you know, if you want to buy this recording, I believe they can, correct? Michael?
Alexson? Tara?
They can buy this session, right? Like the recording?
He was sleeping back there. That's cool.
No, actually, I was working with Jesse on logistics. So, short answer is, of course, that when you come up to someone and say, I want to give you my money, the answer is generally, okay. So yes, there will be an opportunity to receive this.
All right. Thanks. You cut into 30 seconds of us, by the way. So
yeah,
we'll get
thanks, Alexson. Yeah, appreciate it. Tips for growth. Complexity kills. Keep it simple. If everybody in this room, if I gave a complex 3-paragraph message that all of you had to play the game of telephone, by the time it got back to me, by the time it got to the third person, it's already changed. But if the message was, let's meet at noon, chances are all of us can get that right. So all of your workflows and all your messaging should be simple.
Let's get through the last one so you can take a picture while we talk about it.
Gotcha.
Okay? Leverage the new hustle, guys. So you got to leverage system, process, technology, and people. Otherwise, you will not get to where you need to go.
All right, I'm going to jump right into SWOT. We talk about this all the time. This is so foundational and so overlooked because it's so foundational, but every year you should be doing a deep dive SWOT on your business so you understand that your strengths will change, your weaknesses will change, so will your threats and your opportunities. Identifying that will put you on the path to be able to adjust.
The last one I'll touch on, and we'll be done with our presentation, is don't repeat yourself. Be dry. Be dry. So don't repeat yourself. If you're doing something over and over again, you have process systems set up. Okay? The one exercise Mike and I encourage our team to do is always do the exercise called "and then what?" Okay? That's how you build your process. I want to work with more buyers. Okay, so now make the phone call. Now you got a buyer meeting, and then what? You go to meeting. This is what happened. Okay, I want to work with you. And then what? You fill out the paperwork. Okay, and then what? Do the and then what on every process you have, so that if something ever happened, you can pass that hat off to somebody else to do it for you because you have a process system in place.
All right, I think we are at about time. So with that, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sam.